Have you ever noticed how certain moments feel heavier than others, even when nothing dramatic is happening on the surface? It's not always about what is physically taking place. It's about what is being communicated quietly beneath it all. Most people reduce intimacy to something physical. They think it revolves around attraction, chemistry, and the body. But that view only scratches the surface. The deeper reality is that intimacy begins in the mind long before it reaches the body. It is a silent exchange that carries emotion, trust, and subtle energy between two people. What many men fail to recognize is that for a woman, these moments rarely exist as simple desire. They represent a level of openness that naturally lowers her guard. In that space, something important is being evaluated without words. She is not only responding to your actions, she is sensing your presence, your composure, and your emotional control. These signals reveal more than anything you could ever say. In these quiet moments of closeness, something subtle but powerful begins to happen. The image a person presents to the world starts to fade, and what remains is their natural emotional state. This is where true character becomes visible. There is less room to hide behind rehearsed behavior or carefully chosen words. Instead, tone, presence, and emotional control begin to speak on their own. A woman senses these things instinctively. She may not always explain it in clear words, but she feels the difference between someone who is grounded and someone who is not. She pays attention to how steady your energy feels, how you respond without overreacting, and whether your presence creates calm or tension. These details may seem small, but they carry a deep psychological impact. This is why intimacy often becomes a silent test, not something announced or discussed, but something experienced. It is a moment where your emotional state communicates everything. Without realizing it, she is observing whether your presence feels safe, consistent, and real. That is why these moments carry more weight than most people realize. Beneath the surface, there is a quiet evaluation taking place. She is not analyzing you in a logical, step-by-step way. Instead, her mind is sensing patterns through feeling. She is noticing how your presence affects her emotional state, whether she feels relaxed or tense, open or guarded. These reactions happen quickly, often without conscious thought, but they shape how the connection develops. This is also where many men misunderstand the situation. They assume that attraction alone is enough. They focus on appearance, words, or effort, believing those things define the experience. But in reality, what matters more is how you carry yourself in that moment. Your ability to remain steady, your comfort with silence, and your control over your reactions communicate far more than any attempt to impress. When you understand this, your perspective begins to shift. You stop trying to perform and start paying attention to your presence. And that is where real connection begins to form, because what is felt always carries more weight than what is said. Once you begin to see this clearly, you realize that intimacy is not just about connection, it is about perception. It is about how your emotional state is received in real time. Before anything deeper can develop, there is a basic question being answered beneath the surface, not through words, but through feeling. That question is simple. Do I feel safe here? Safety in this sense goes far beyond physical protection. It is emotional. It is about whether your presence feels stable or unpredictable, whether your reactions feel controlled or impulsive. A woman's mind naturally scans for these signals, not consciously but instinctively. She notices how you handle small moments of tension, how you respond when something unexpected happens, and whether your energy remains calm or begins to shift. If your presence feels steady, something important begins to happen. Her guard lowers. The interaction becomes more natural. But if your energy feels uncertain or reactive, even slightly, her instincts tighten. That single difference can shape the entire experience. This is why emotional stability carries so much weight, even more than outward confidence. Many men believe that appearing strong or dominant is what creates attraction. But when that confidence feels forced or exaggerated, it often creates tension instead of comfort. What actually builds a deeper connection is a sense of calm control, a grounded presence that does not need to prove itself in every moment. When a man is emotionally steady, his reactions remain measured. He does not rush to fill silence, he does not overreact to small shifts, and he does not let his emotions take over the situation. This kind of composure sends a powerful signal without effort. It tells her that she can relax, that she does not need to stay on guard, and that the environment feels stable. From a psychological perspective, this allows the nervous system to settle. When someone feels safe, their body naturally opens up. Their posture softens, their tone becomes warmer, and the interaction begins to flow more naturally. This is where connection starts to deepen without force. This is where many men misunderstand what actually builds attraction. They believe it comes from intensity, constant effort, or trying to impress in every moment. But in reality, the strongest attraction often forms in quiet, steady spaces where nothing feels forced. When a woman feels she can simply exist around you without pressure, something deeper begins to grow. That sense of ease is not weakness, it is the foundation of trust. When trust begins to form, the entire dynamic shifts. The interaction is no longer about evaluation, it becomes about connection. She starts to feel more comfortable expressing herself, sharing thoughts, and allowing her guard to lower naturally. This is when vulnerability becomes possible, not because it was demanded, but because the environment made it safe. Many people misunderstand vulnerability, thinking it signals fragility, but psychologically, it represents trust. It is the moment someone chooses to show their unguarded self, and that choice only happens when your presence feels stable enough to support it, without disruption or emotional chaos. This is where the next layer of attraction begins to appear. Once a sense of safety is established, something deeper starts to be evaluated without words. It is not about how impressive you are or how much effort you put in. It is about the strength of your presence. Not physical strength, but inner steadiness. The ability to remain calm, centered, and composed when emotions are involved. In moments that carry emotional weight, people naturally reveal who they truly are. Some become tense, some seek approval, and others try to overcompensate. But the man who stands out is the one who stays grounded. His energy does not fluctuate with the situation. He does not rush to prove anything. That calmness communicates certainty. Certainty is powerful because it allows the other person to relax emotionally. It creates a sense of stability that feels reliable. This is why quiet composure often carries more influence than loud confidence. It shows control, not over others, but over self. And that kind of control naturally draws people in. As this sense of inner strength becomes clear, something else begins to matter just as much. It is not about how perfect you appear, but how real you feel in that moment. Many men believe they need to perform, to say the right things, or to maintain a certain image at all times. But the more someone tries to control how they are perceived, the easier it becomes to sense that something is off. People can feel when behavior is forced. Human perception is sensitive to inconsistency. When your words and your energy do not match, it creates subtle tension. Even if nothing is said directly, it is felt. This is why authenticity carries so much weight. When you speak honestly, react naturally, and allow your true personality to exist without constant adjustment, it creates trust without effort. During close moments, this becomes even more visible. Social masks begin to fall away, and what remains is your natural presence. If that presence feels calm and genuine, the connection deepens. But if it feels controlled or artificial, the moment loses its depth. And that difference shapes how everything develops next. As authenticity becomes more visible, something deeper begins to unfold beneath the surface. These moments stop being about appearance and start becoming moments of emotional transparency. In everyday life, people manage how they present themselves. They adjust their behavior depending on the situation, the environment, and who they are around. But in moments of real closeness, that control begins to fade, and what shows up is the natural emotional state beneath it. This is where true character becomes easier to see. Not through words, but through subtle signals. The way you handle silence, the pace of your reactions, the steadiness of your breathing, and the comfort in your presence all reveal something deeper. These are the details that cannot be rehearsed. They are simply expressed. A woman notices these things, often without thinking about it directly. She senses whether your attention is fully present or divided, whether your energy feels calm or unsettled. These small observations shape how she experiences the moment. And because these moments reveal so much, they often determine whether the connection grows stronger or begins to fade. As everything comes together, one final truth becomes clear. Intimacy is not something you perform. It is something that reflects who you are internally. All the elements we've explored, emotional safety, composure, authenticity, presence, and energy, point back to one central idea. The quality of your inner state shapes the entire experience. When you are grounded within yourself, that stability naturally extends into the interaction. This is where self-mastery becomes important. A man who understands his emotions, who can remain calm under pressure, and who does not react impulsively, creates an environment where connection can grow without force. His presence feels reliable, and reliability builds trust. That trust allows attraction to deepen in a natural way, without manipulation or unnecessary effort. At the end of it all, what matters is not how perfect you appear, but how consistent and real you are. When you focus on that, everything else aligns. And that is what transforms simple moments into meaningful connections.